What's going on, everyone? This is Sportin Cannabis and CBD, and I'm your host, William Smith.
Today I have the very special privilege of interviewing Chris Denicola, former pro golfer. So Chris, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So this is Sportin Cannabis and CBD, presented by Emerald Magazine. So Chris, a lot of good stuff to get into today. Would you just be able to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So super long time ago, graduated college with a chemistry degree, got out into big pharma land and started actually making some decent money and had a lot of time on my hands. So I took up, what was more of a hobby through high school and college and started playing a lot more golf. I mean, I was playing every afternoon after work, Saturdays, Sundays, sometimes even during lunch. And after a couple of years of doing this, winning a couple local tournaments, figured I'd give it a rip.
Absolutely. That's very cool. So it kind of wasn't something that you saw at first, but then, as time went on, it sort of evolved.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I fell into a couple different situations. One, I was living out in Long Island, New York. There was a tiny little, I'd say county or just kind of private tournaments that were going on every weekend. And I won a couple of those, won the whole series. I was like, I can play golf. Like, this is pretty cool. This is neat. And I don't know if you want me to jump ahead to how I got into it, but I saw that there was AAA and AA type series around the country. And there just happened to be one at the time up in New England. And it was easy for me to get to. I knew the area. I didn't have to travel to Florida or Arizona. So I could continue to live in Pennsylvania, work in Pennsylvania, and then go play these tournaments. So, it was sponsored by Cleveland Golf and just ended up there. Just said, I'm going to throw everything on a credit card and pay it off later.
That's awesome. When did you know that this was something that you wanted to go pro with?
I can't say there was ever like a conscious decision. It was, I'm just going to give this a go and, try to put everything together in my life to make it happen. So it was more, okay, here's the tour, here's the program, here's how to register, here's how I'm going to pay for it. Let's try to make a work schedule that, I can go play these 5 days or be away these 5 days and then work a couple days, work for 2 weeks on and then 5 days off, something like that. So I was just busy making it happen. So that's kind of that was the decision process, is if it worked, it worked.
Yeah, sometimes the best things happen that way.
Yeah. I mean, I was late 20s, chemistry smart, but not really world smart. So I just head down, keep going.
Very cool. Very cool. So going off that, how did you enter the cannabis space, or the CBD space rather?
Yeah. So my background's in chemistry, in drug discovery and chromatography and purifications. And my second job in big pharma was working for a company that one of their ideas was to do synthetic cannabinoids, synthetically derived cannabinoids, not spice and K2 stuff like that. So we had developed a synthetic route for THC back in 99, 2000, something like that. And it was just really expensive. So the management was like, okay, we're just going to go into opiates. And they were one of the opiate company problems. But anywho, and then we come around to about 2012, 2013. A number of the states started going from medical to looking at recreational style products. And what I thought I could do was, with my chemistry and chromatography background, was use high-end SFCs, or supercritical fluid chromatography machines, to rip all of the cannabinoids out of a plant, essentially have a supply of CBD, CBG, THC, THCV, CBC, CBN, and then really start studying the terpene profiles of these plants because that's where the personality is at. And everybody has their favorite plant, or everybody has one that they use for certain situations. So I wanted to be able to recreate that from scratch, and in a manufacturing setting that we could make it the same way every single time, unlike growing a plant where depending on the light, depending on the water, depending on the nutrients, it's going to be a little bit different. So we wanted to figure out what were the key components of the plant, and then how can we make sure that we get that correct personality and control every single time.
For sure. That's very interesting. So can you speak to your company, Crappies, a little bit?
Yeah. So the companies, and sorry for this, we made it confusing. We didn't really try to. The company is actually Wolf, or Wolf Sciences. The brand itself is Crappies Feel Better Hemp Company. And I'll give the origin of where the name came from. It's some friends of mine that I worked with at a company years ago. His wife is our designer. And long time ago, like, I was traveling around the world, not sleeping a lot, just really being on call all the time for this company. And I'd end up back at the headquarters and just be in a bad mood and tired. So he just started calling me Crappy all the time. So he's like, Crappy, why are you always crappy? Like, stop being crappy. Fast forward 8-9 years, 10 years, whatever. His wife starts designing a new brand for me. And she's like, hey, I got one that's kind of edgy. You may not like it. And I looked at it. I was like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't want my name out there for this. But the more we started showing it to people, and the more the vibe and the messaging the tone started coming together, people really resonated with it, along with the old timey, family photos, the verbiage, the tone that we picked, and also the products work. So that helps too. But that's where, that's essentially where Crappies came from, or Crappies Feel Better came from. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to go deeper, or which direction you want to go?
If you want, if that's all you have to say, then I can definitely transition. But if you want to get into it, a little bit more,
Yeah.
feel free. But
yeah. No, I'd say let's keep rolling.
Yeah. So what would you say is your company's ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal, and I don't mean to make this sound commercial, but to help people feel better. There are a lot of confusing or Me Too or just bad products out there in I'll just stick with the CBD space, but the CBD space. I think with looking at anecdotes, with looking at data, research that's been done in the past, people know that CBD and the other minor cannabinoids really do help the human body. It's the delivery mechanisms and the technology around the product that really let people down. Tinctures were great in the 1800s. That's not what people need to be taking now. Gummy bears are candy. It boggles my mind that gummy bears are like one of the biggest products in this space. It's like, no one would think about taking an Advil as a gummy bear. And yet CBD and cannabis products, I need a gummy that has 1,500 milligrams. Like, that's not it. But it's also confusing because there's been no other way of measuring one product from another. It's come down to how many milligrams of CBD are in this product. And that's a problem. There's no other product really out there that you measure it by the difference between two different actives. Maybe a beer, maybe a liquor. There's an extra strength Tylenol and a regular Tylenol, but I'd be hard pressed for anybody to say what the milligrams of acetaminophen are in either of those two products. So, our focus was to make the consumer's choice a lot easier. We figured out how to make the cannabinoids more soluble. We figured out how to use novel terpene blends to make certain effects happen. And then we put them in a way that was really easy for consumers to use, a chewable or a swallowable tablet or a topical cream that didn't feel like an oil. so that, you could pick, you've had a stressful day, you come home, you just want to chill out. Here's a product called Chill Out. It's got the right amount of CBG, CBD, CBN to, help your body, but then it's the terpene blends to really help shut off your mind and just be content. You're not couch locked, you're not just bleh, but you're happy for where you need to be.
For sure. I think that speaks to a lot of the stigma that's around CBD and cannabis. So thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Just to kind of further transition, during your pro career, did you use CBD, or was that something that kind of came into fruition a little bit later on?
That I don't think CBD was on anybody's mind. I think that, this was back in 2004. This was a long time ago. So CBD didn't really exist too much back then. I can say there were people on the tour with me definitely taking pharmaceuticals to help them focus, to help with their pain. For me, it came down to I lived on coffee, Advil, and as much sleep as I could get, which wasn't a lot. And I can say a lot of the thought that went into building these products and the outcomes that these products have actually came from my time playing golf. It was, how can I be less sore? How can I be more focused? How can I have a good night's sleep, all done naturally, without the grogginess, without the side effects, without, my liver or kidneys falling apart from different pharmaceutical products. I wish I would have had these products that we're making now back then. I don't know if I would have made it, but I would have played better.
What would you say to people who are skeptical of CBD, whether it's golfers or just the average person?
Absolutely. Their skepticism is warranted, 100%. What I would say is, again, it's a little commercial for us. You can try one or a couple of our products for a very low amount of money. Our trial packs are $5. And we did that because we've heard and we've all experienced those times of trying a new CBD or hemp product, and it's $90, $110, $150. I saw one the other day for, I think it was $260 for an ounce of some tincture. And I'm just like, in good conscience, I can't charge somebody that without knowing that it worked for them. So part of our ethos or our philosophy in the company is make sure these products work for you, and we'll offer it to you in a way that's a very low risk and very low cost.
For sure. That's awesome. Makes it very easy for people to give it a
Yeah.
try. So going off that, were you skeptical at first? I know you have your chemistry background and things like that, but were you kind of skeptical?
100%. I'll say CBD and I actually don't get along very well. First time I tried CBD, it made me tired, disassociated, kind of angry, depressed. And I was so confused. I was like, wait a minute, this is what they give people to get out of this state. And I'm like, they give this to little kids, and I feel awful. And I'm an adult and I can't figure out how to get out of this terrible room that I'm in. So I was like, why I do not understand. I do not understand why CBD is, was being sold to people. So it wasn't until I figured out dosing, but also the terpene blends. And that really helped me figure out how all of the compounds played together. And then even more recently, playing around with the minor cannabinoids, the CBG, the CBN, the CBC, CBDV, THCV, those compounds I think have so much more potential and magic to them than CBD does. To me, CBD is a supporting character. A little bit needs to be there for certain things to happen, but I don't think it should be on the main stage, if you will.
For sure. Kind of going off that, would you be able to speak to your PGA Tour experience a little bit and just, your overall career?
Yeah, it was some of the best life training I've had, and I'll start a little earlier than that. People ask me, how should I get into the cannabis industry or the hemp industry, and how do I work in one of these labs, and how do I get the training? And to me, the best training I had in chemistry was working my way up through big pharma and quality control labs and research and development labs. Because as much as you learn theory and ideas in college or higher education, until you get into the workplace and have to produce and have to be reliable and trusted, it's such a different world. And then moving from there to, I am now a business of one, where I had to control my schedule. I had to control my food, my training, everything about like the golf weekend, from when my practice rounds were scheduled, when my first 2 rounds were. Somehow it ended up that I just always had the Friday morning 7 a.m. first tee time. And I am not a morning person. So for me to be able to get up at 4:30, do a quick workout, get get some breakfast in, get a shower, be limber and focused at 7 a.m., being able to, rip a 300-yard drive straight down the fairway, so I can at least have some kind of an attempt at a good score at the first hole to get that momentum going. That was a lot of work for me. that just didn't gel well. I was a lot better in the afternoon rounds, but through the 10, 12 rounds or whatever that we played, I learned a lot. And it wasn't about eagling every hole. It was about not doing worse than par on every hole. And, it's not about hitting it 2 inches from the green or from the pin. It's about getting it on the green and 2-putting. And hopefully you get a couple of those in for some birdies. There was a lot to learn there. And I think had I had 2 more years to put into it, could have done pretty well. But I had to get back to work and pay off that credit card bill. So, but no regrets. I'm totally happy with where I ended up.
I hear you. That's refreshing to hear. Well, listen, that's all I have for you. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the podcast and speak with me about your journey and your involvement in the industry and things like that. Thank you so much, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're tackling this side of things. I think sports with properly done hemp-based products, THC-free hemp-based product, are where a lot of sports should go. I mean, it really does help people, takes away inflammation and pain. So, let's get it legalized for them and allow them to use it.
I couldn't agree more. There's so many different possibilities, and both industries are constantly growing, and so I definitely agree. There's a lot of great things still to be done. So, but again, thank you, and I really appreciate it.